I'm Brent Leary.
I'm Paul Greenberg.
We are the CRM Players, and it's a good Thursday afternoon. Weather is perfect. Not much to watch on the weekend, but we'll get to that later.
Yeah, it's going to be a boring weekend.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe go outside, wash cars, clean up the streets
It's great
on
weather for
Sunday.
that. It's like mid 60s here today.
We're at 58 right now.
Beautiful.
I know, perfect, sunny. So it's weirdly a little chilly because there's a wind, so so it's not quite like perfect, but it's nice.
It's nice, and we are nice. We are, since I hadn't mentioned it, the CRM Players.
Actually, you had mentioned it.
Oh, I did?
Yes, you did.
My mind is elsewhere. I don't know what's going on.
I do.
What's happening here?
I know exactly what's going on.
It's weird.
And
Wait a minute. Are we allowed to start the show if we don't get a comment from? Oh, just as I was about to write him off, there he is. Who is House?
Who is House?
That old TV show?
That's what I was thinking too. What's that actor's name?
I don't know, but Hugh
something.
Lowry or something like that.
Hugh, that's it. Hugh Lowry.
I used to the first couple of years I really liked that show.
It was good.
Then it kind of got a little old.
I think that's because he kind of his character wears on you after a while. He never ever changed. Always like, grumpy and
he's a curmudgeon. He doesn't like being around people, and of course he's a genius at what he does.
Right, of
so
course.
You kind of have to deal with all that.
Different world, man. Don't have to deal with
I like that
anymore.
show too. That was my show in the 80s. Yeah, it is. Well, we definitely have a guest coming up later, but before we bring them on, introduce them. Got a cool way to introduce this guy too, by the way. Wait a minute. What am I getting shamed for?
Who is House?
Who is House? I don't know.
I don't know what.
Who is House? Oh, whose house is it? Okay, yes, it's that was okay. Yeah, I have no comment right now on.
That's right. That's exactly why you're distracted. You're already entering. You're entering the zone.
Yeah, the zone. Anyway, so we had a really interesting happy hour yesterday. And for Sven's purposes, because Sven is usually there, but he missed yesterday. And I don't know if it's a coincidence. I think not. It was the first happy hour in like literally over a year where the term bagel did not show up.
That's right.
Sven wasn't there. Bagel wasn't mentioned. Coincidence? I think not.
I absolutely agree. In fact, we've been running algorithms for the last 24 hours on the voice patterns, and it's clear Sven's voice pattern, aside from Sven actually using the word bagel, his voice pattern seemed to trigger the word bagel in other people, right? So without Sven, the algorithm says no bagel.
And it was a good one too. I mean, it was a good show. So we asked each person that was on the happy hour what was their favorite album of all time. And most of us really couldn't just name one. I think I could. I think I did. But most people were given, multiples. What was yours again?
Oh, I had multiples. I was like Jimi Hendrix, Are You Experienced? I was Disraeli Gears by Cream. I was The Band by The Band. I was everything Beatles, and things like that. So there were a number of them. I could not pick one.
Did you say you were banned by the band?
Yes, I was. I once went to a band concert, and I actually afterwards the person I was with, she and I went up and and you got to keep in mind, I don't dance ever. I'm terrible. I am a klutz. I would not ever want to do it. But I got up on stage with her. I had a big crush on her too. I got up on stage with her and we danced on the stage with the band playing in the background.
Nice.
It was
But
sort of cool.
there's no evidence of this, though, unfortunately.
Thank God.
Okay. By the way, feel free to put your favorite album or CD or whatever the modern term is of all time. Please put in the comment section. Give it a shout out. Let's see. Of course, Thomas, you were there yesterday, so we kind of already knows what yours is. Let's see. Did Sven do one here?
No,
No. He's just saying,
he was sick
"Oh,
in bed.
yeah.
That's what I
Hope
meant.
you're feeling better.
Are
Hope
you all
you're feeling
right?
better.
Are you okay? Put it
Hope so.
put
Let us
put
know.
it in the comments, please, so
Yeah.
we know. Let us know.
Mine was, of course, it's going to be a Prince one, although it's really tough to pick one, but Sign of the Times is just that good. So I picked that. But I did do a little genre thing. I did say my favorite jazz album, Kind of Blue by Miles Davis.
That
My
one,
favorite techno was Kraftwerk. Just put
right?
that up there.
Well, when you put kind of blew up, half of the people, including me, pretty much said me too for that
Yeah,
one.
Jody
Yep.
Spencer.
It was a bunch of people actually. I don't
Did
remember
Mike
all of them.
Fawcett? He did
Yes,
too.
he was another one. And there were
Yeah.
some other people who didn't talk, but uh so he's Thriller, Michael Jackson.
That's a good one.
Yeah, good
That's a good
choice,
one.
man.
And we're glad. Oh, you're in bed now?
No, he
We,
was.
okay. He's fine now. Okay, that's good.
He's okay.
It's good to know. All right. But I wanted to do a special shout out because this popped up on my Facebook profile. If I can bring this up, I mentioned Public Enemy had my favorite rap album, which was "It Takes a Nation of Millions to Hold Us Down" or "Back," something like that. But that was their second album. Their first album was Yo Bum Rush the Show. And
Wow.
as it says here, that was launched 35 years ago today. So I
Holy
wanted to do
cow.
a special shout out because I love that album as well. This is like the first one they did. I had never heard of Public Enemy before. They didn't sound like anybody else. I mean, their name was provocative. The logo with the brother and the gun sight kind of get your attention. Flavor Flav wearing a big, basically a clock around his neck. Everything about them was legendary. So 35 years ago today, I remember it well. I can't believe it's 35 years though. That's the scary thing.
Amazing.
Okay.
Means most of those guys are in their late 50s and early 60s.
Actually, Chuck D is 61 going on 62. And Flavor Flav is older than that.
Holy God.
These dudes are about ready for Social Security and Medicare. It's kind of hard to believe.
I'll tell him it's worth it. Not Social Security, but Medicare. Medicare's worth it.
All right. So anyway, let us know what your favorite CDs are. We're interested. Okay, one more thing. We're gonna give the venerable Paul Greenberg the stage because guess what's coming up in 2 weeks? The watch list.
All right. So, teaser time for the watch list. So, first, the progress report. I will be done with all watch list submissions and scoring and all modifications that have to be made and reweightings and secondary looks by the fundamental submissions will be done tomorrow, and then over the weekend when I'm otherwise not engaged with that unspeakable thing on Sunday, I will be going through the secondary aspects I have to do to do follow-ups and respond, get questions answered. which means on February 24th, we will have our winners. And I will tell you this several things so far. It's really hard to win. I mean, really, really hard to win. And as things, I'm presuming they're going to continue because there's not that many left. But if this is the case, it'll be the lowest percentage of winners against submissions in the history of the watch list. So be afraid, be very afraid if you're a vendor who submitted. All right, that's the first thing. The second thing is I'm going to reveal something because one of the things that happened in the course of the watch list submissions is, and I do this every year, is I pull out trends and I pull out weaknesses I see among all vendors based on the submissions themselves. And fascinatingly, given that what I'm looking for is how much impact you had in year X, meaning in this case, it would be 2021, and how prepared are you for having continued impact in the next 3 years? And that's in the midst of this seismic change. It was amazing, but on the weaknesses side, meaning things that people didn't do but should have been aware of by now, I have 11 of them, right? And I'm going to reveal a weakness today, a negative, just to show you how hard it is to win because I'm recognizing this as a negative. All right. So I guess the best way to put this is there is a profound lack of innovation and creativity in given the transformation that's being undertaken or that we're undergoing now. There's incredibly good operational capabilities. I mean, companies that are just operationally just stunning in terms of their execution. But the level of creativity and innovation is just astoundingly low. And by the way, in companies you might or might not expect it from, but companies, as I said, you might expect it from, it's not there. And that's actually a bit of a problem. And we'll discuss it a little bit. And when we do the wrap up on the 24th, after the winners and so on. And then finally, no, actually, I'm going to hold off with just that one because I want people to understand how hard it is to win this. That was not a positive for anybody who didn't show me it. There were a couple. There were a couple of companies. One of I think would surprise you, who were actually more innovative than expected, and showing awareness of the changes that are going on. And that's again good thing. But the lack is just it was kind of overwhelming and surprising. And I'm deliberately, as I said, being negative because I want you to understand when we announce who wins and we'll see at what level, that's a real achievement, like a major achievement for them to win this year. Cool. So I will leave it at that.
All right. Maybe in the update on next Thursday, we can reveal some of the prop fake bets, like the over unders for how many companies make the list, and the one with the most pages. Give people an over under for the number of pages, for the largest submission, and maybe the under for the one that had the least amount of pages.
We can do that.
Well, have some fun with that.
That would be a blast. Okay, so that by then everything will have been sorted out, so we'll be ready.
Yeah, well, so next week's tease for the watch list reveal will be the prop bets, the fake. Remember, fake prop bets.
Fake, right?
Oh, by the way, Christy, yeah, we had so much fun. We started talking about it. So, people feel free to list your favorite album /CD /whatever it is. We would love to see a conversation going on as we do the show, and we'll bring them up from time to time. What was Christy? I don't even remember yours. you would think I would remember because it was just yesterday, but there are so many albums mentioned, I can't remember. Oh, look at Jeff. You didn't. Hey, 38 Special. Hold On Loosely. I think that was their song. Jeff, let me know if Hold On Loosely was one of 38 Special song. I think it was.
Let's play it.
You know what I remember about 38 Special? I think, Jeff, please let me know if I'm right or wrong. I think the guy that was the lead singer had this really long hair, like Almond Brother, but maybe even longer. How could I forget Christie's favorite?
I was
That's
just going to say
ridiculous.
that.
Oh
All
my
the ones to target and forget. Literally the worst possible one to
That
forget.
is ridiculous.
I know. It's the worst one to forget.
Oh, but I was right about 38 Special. How does that happen? Don't remember Prince, remember 38 Special. Don't know how that happens. It should never happen again.
It won't after the Super Bowl's over. So, JR. No, I don't know. What's Yes It Was? I don't know that one.
He was talking about I was getting 38 Special right.
With you were getting it right. Okay. I thought that was the actual song because he had in quotes.
I hope I'm right about that. I don't know. It could be.
I don't know. I've known JR for 20 years, but I still don't know what that is.
Okay.
He's awesome.
All right. We're going to introduce our guest. And as usual, I usually turn the introduction of the guest over to the venerable Paul Greenberg.
I can't believe Gilmore keeps coming on the show. Every time you say venerable, I'm looking for him. I don't get it. Where is he?
But I'm going to add a little something before turning it over. I want to kind of set the stage because was that just yesterday? No, it was Tuesday.
What?
Creatio's Freedom.
Yes.
That was Tuesday.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Both you and I were checking out the event that Creatio put together to launch the latest version of their platform. I think what is it? 8.0?
8.0, yeah.
And they call it Atlas.
Yeah.
I think it was Atlas, right?
It's the freedom.
So,
it's freedom.
The theme was like freedom.
Theme,
yeah, it was,
right.
Which is really cool. So we were checking out the live stream of this event. And of course, we were having our back channel chat, talking about the things that we were seeing. And we were both in agreement. It was so well done. All right, I should say the platform and its look and what they presented looked really good. We'll talk about that with our guests. But the other thing, of course, that caught our attention was the event itself and how it looked and how they rolled it out and some of the things that they did with it.
Mm-hmm.
Really, both of us were
Brilliant.
Extremely pleased with what we saw.
Yes.
So to give you just a little taste of that, I have a clip. You want to see it? Here
I'd love to.
Well, with that said, here it goes.
For another exciting part, to truly capture the essence of freedom, we have invited a guest star, a Grammy Award-nominated DJ, Paul Van Dyke, to perform a freedom set dedicated to Creatio Atlas release.
In parallel, we're going to have our esteemed colleague Vlad, who isn't a professional developer or doesn't really have any technical skills, build an application from scratch. We're going to have him build a customer onboarding workflow and finish it in the same amount of time it takes Paul to finish his set.
So we're getting a DJ set as somebody used their no-code platform to build an application.
And by the
On
way,
a mountaintop.
and that's a live venue, not a green screen.
On a mountaintop. Check the music. Check the synchronicity.
And check out the guy developing the app. He literally looks like a model.
I tell you, he looks like somebody from the Flock of Seagulls.
Right, look at his hair. Just look at the hair.
It's just blowing so nicely.
And he's building an app, for God's sake.
Look at the interface of the app he's using to build the app. No code. Nice music. Does like nice no code app development music on the mountaintop with the wind blowing. I like the lavender jacket too. That looks kind of nice too. But all of this is going. See, that could be me. I could be DJ. But look at this.
Should have been.
It's so well done.
Got to be a drone. Oh wow!
So you're gonna have to. Yeah, that's right.
Also, by the way, just look at the interface that he's working with. I want you to take a look. This is the best interface of any technology I've seen in the last 12 months.
So clean, easy to maneuver.
And it's actually pretty, genuinely pretty. It's like seriously attractive as opposed to just purely clean. But it's just amazing.
It is. Now, you'll have to take our word for it. I think this set lasted about 20 minutes. Right. And by the end of the set, this dude had built an app and he's not using code.
And signed a $2 million contract to model.
I mean, that was
Typical
so well
Creatio,
done.
Man.
And our guest was one of the folks who designed, well, part of the design team for not only the platform, but also the event. I'll let the venerable Paul Greenberg give him the proper introduction.
I can't believe I'm going to actually respond to you using the word venerable. But I have to, or the show will stop dead. Right. So so let me tell you, before I even tell you his name, I'm going to tell you a little bit about this guy. Creatio used to be called BPM Online. In 2011, me, Brent, others created this, contest called CRM Idol. And it was modeled after American Idol. You showed your technology, you were subjected, so you auditioned, you were subjected to interviews, you had mentors who were assigned to you. And this little company, let's say modestly little company out of Kiev called BPM Online and parent company TerraSoft were entries. Again, Kiev was the headquarters. They won. Okay, they were first winner in 2011. Ever since then, they have just been nothing but growing off the charts. And the thing about them is that they get the world, right? They get the world and they align with it properly. Again, they're coming from like a core technical kind of thing,
business process management.
Right, right.
Geez,
but they have actually managed to literally glam it up and elevate it to a level where people use it and use it comfortably. Okay. Now, our guest was part of BPM Online. And then when it rebranded, I think it was 2020, 2019, 2020, as Creatio, a major part of it was even back then. He's now the chief growth officer. He is when you see this guy, you're going to think he's like 11 years old, but he's brilliant. It's like brilliant. He has this young face, but he's an old soul, and he fully gets what to do in the world of technology. And he's a top flight leader. He's chief growth officer of Creatio, and we have to welcome Andie Dovgan, my old friend. Actually,
wait a minute, your old friend?
Well, he's actually my nephew.
Face.
He's actually my nephew. When I met him when he in 2011, he was 11.
That was the best introduction I ever experienced.
Well, you finally can drink now.
Only in Canada.
And I see you've returned from the mountaintop and you're back in your regular place. And
actually, that trip was a big journey. Like we received such a great feedback. And guys, by the way, thank you so much for your kind words. And you are the toughest judges, so I really was kind of waiting to hear back your feedback. And specifically, Paul messaged us saying that he will be watching attentively to understand like how good is done. And we know that Paul has very high standards, such as brand, right? So that's why like getting this kind of great feedback from you guys, it's super rewarding. And I will certainly pass along those words to the team. But also, like I probably will stop upon that. But we had absolutely incredible journey when we were doing this recording. Like we got stone falls. The entire island where we were doing this was blocked, so we couldn't get out of the hotel. Like we got probably the most severe rain and the wind coming from Sahara Desert. So we got everything against us, and we were able to record that. And once we
Amazing.
kind of and it's really a freedom release, because once we release that, we feel a really strong relief and got very good recognition from the community.
Hey, so
Well-
before we get too far into it, we had this happy hour thing yesterday. We had everybody go around the Zoom room and we asked them what was their favorite album of all time. So since you're here with us today, we would like you to tell us what your favorite album /CD of all time is.
Wow, I think that probably number one is Prodigy, The Fat of the Land. That's probably the number, like the album. If we talk about a single, I probably will go with George Michael, Careless Whisper. That's one, like I heard it like gazillion times. Like like every time when I'm having like a tough day, I'm coming back from my work to home, I'm listening to Careless Whisper, and everything disappears.
That's a great song.
Yep.
And I like
Really
Prodigy. What was that song? The very first one that came out that put them on the map?
That was before the Fat of the Land.
Inhale or Exhale or something like that?
Yeah, that one was Breeze. I believe it's Breeze. They also had Firestarter, a few ones that we probably don't want to
Yeah, I remember that.
say in public, but that was a great album. And I had lots of pictures of Prodigy. You know, I was printing them. We had this like outdated printer. I was printing those pictures, putting them on the walls, and my parents were kind of dragging them out from that because they were afraid to stay in house with those pictures.
I don't blame them, because I remember what those dudes look like. There are some scary dudes.
Yeah.
So we have two things: the platform itself that you rolled out, you know, the latest version of it,
Stunning.
and the event.
Mhm.
And you can see each one of those two had a certain level of design that it felt like carried through, like what you did and how you designed the platform. Did you kind of use some of the certain same design elements as you thought about the event that you were going to introduce the platform with? I mean, it kind of felt like there was a lot of design that kind of carried over between the actual product and the event.
That is absolutely correct. So we started that project in June, I believe, June or July, and we actually Paul participated in some parts of that. But the project was not only about the product release; it was focused on a new messaging. It was focused on a new visual style, and you saw this consistent visual style. So we developed a visual playbook. We worked with an external consultancy on that, and we probably reviewed like hundreds of different visual styles, and that was a very exhausting process because we wanted to we strive for an ideal result. Even with the Freedom release, like we liked the result and we liked like the feedback that we received from the community, but we know that next year we can do probably twice better because we understand what we wanted to improve, and I think that our ideal goal is to to create a masterpiece that people will be talking about like for years. So we are very pleased with the Freedom release, but still we see a great room for the growth. And but coming back to a question, yes, we did have this visual style project. We completely updated the visual style, our pages, the way how our website looks like, our sales deck, like everything related to Creatio visuals. And this visual style was relieved with new product on that digital show.
So, so let's look at the platform for a minute. I mean, you've always had a great platform. You really have. I remember many years ago. I think when 2011 you were 4 or something like that, 3 or 4, version 3 or 4, and
a director title.
Yeah, but the other thing you've always had going with a extraordinary kind of technically capable platform
Mhm.
is it's kind of a flair, I guess, a flair for the effectively on the one hand, the platform itself, let's just call it for the sake of this, left brain, meaning
Right.
there's mechanics involved, there's algorithms involved, there are processes involved, but they're repeatable things. And on the other hand, though, that's not how the human mind tends to work, right? I mean, it doesn't just work with that. It has to work with something that appeals and something that is easy to do and something that when they do it, they feel good about using it and so on. And you guys have always had an eye to that. I remember your earlier interfaces were, for the most part, they weren't visually beautiful, but they were clean. They were always clean and easy to use. Kind of that, the one that was defined way back is Google white space, right? That's how they used to call it, what they used to call it, Google white space, right? It was similar to Google's, kind of clean design at the time. All right. But over the last several years, and especially with this release, because I am not kidding what I said in the introduction, I think that is the best interface I've seen in the last 12 months, without a doubt. Without a doubt. It's not even a close race, so to speak. In fact, I was talking to a vendor yesterday, and we were talking about interfaces. I said, now that Creatio's Freedom release is out, just go look at theirs, and you'll see what I'm talking about as ideal, right? And it was a vendor, let's say, considerably larger than you are, right? So, but the thing is that you've always had, as a company, that kind of flair, meaning your rebranding event was a clear example of that. What was it 165 members of Creatio staff jumping out of a plane,
including the CEO and
right?
I never jumped, and I like the moment.
I think you're smart.
Yeah, the moment we agreed on that idea, I told no, I'm not jumping.
I thought you were too young to jump because you were only like 12.
That's right. Well, he was 12 at the time.
Well, I mean, I was not allowed.
Well, let's even go back further, though. I think you were on this one. There was a Christmas video you guys did, your entire management team, and pretty much in the middle of it, you guys all start to dance, the entire team, right? Which is hilarious. It was actually just hilarious. But you've always had that kind of real human flair about you, and I think that's part of the appeal of the company. All of that said, one of the things that really interests me, and I'd like to, and it kind of evolves through the platform. If I go back to looking at your messaging, let's say 2 years ago, it's no code, low code, low code, no code. Now it's just no code. And I've noticed that there's a big change, because I will tell you, most of the vendors are either low code, no code still, or they're just low code, which is more interesting, or less interesting actually. But when did you make that shift, and why did you make that shift? I think I know how you're going to answer it, but I want to hear this.
Yeah, so I guess we had a number of discussions, and we based all our discussions on our customers and partners, right? So the part of this kind of messaging exercise and this foundation, one platform, freedom, genuine care, was a result of very deep discussions with our customers and partners, right? And in the very beginning, we've decided to we've decided we're not going to put together something that is just great messaging and will become another buzzword. We want this to be a genuine. We want this to be a really representation of our DNA. And I think that was a great idea. We struggled a bit because people were telling us, like in the plain words, and it's just always important to package it up so that it can be understood by a wider audience and by people who don't know you and who don't have this kind of shared experience with you. But I think we've done quite a good job with that. And what I love about the way how we talk about ourselves, because it's true, it's genuine, and I can live and die for that, because that's who we are. Now, in regards to no code, we had a very deep thinking process as well. So we understand, like, it's connected to the vision that our CEO has. And we asked ourselves, like, what is the ultimate future? What is, like, if we think about like 10 years from now, and we think about evolution of no-code technologies, we understand that no-code, like the low-code, is just either an intermediate stage to get to no-code, because no one wants to have a low-code. Low-code is just a stage when you get access to no-code, but the difference is like how complex you can go. But in the future, but right now, if we think about like types of pictures and photographs we can take with iPhone, it's incredible, right? So they're super professional. You can do super cool stuff with an iPhone. Same applies to no-code technology. You should be able to do enterprise complex automation with no-code, and that's what the thinking process. And we wanted to solve a much larger problem, not just make a smaller group of individuals, admins, and developers more productive. We want to get this customization tools accessible by a huge population of knowledge workers and enable non-technical people to go and configure and customize solutions without need to involve IT folks. So that's kind of the vision, and that's the reason why we decided to go with no code and commit to no code, because that represents the future.
Okay, so presuming people like that message, and I know you've given me a lot of data that indicates, knowledge workers can use these tools, unlike, and you don't have to be a coder. There's often I call it a historical problem that comes with that,
right?
With the freedom to be a citizen developer that actually produces something worthwhile, which is governance, right? How do you govern that? I mean, that's a big issue. So how do you guys talk to that? How do you handle that when it comes? Because presume, 5% of the what was it, 72 million? Was that the number you gave?
1.7.
1.7. What was it? 1.7
billion.
No,
billion.
Right. Knowledge workers. So let's presume 1/8% of them actually do things like this, and they're all their own companies. They're all producing stuff that's really useful, but the company has to manage all that. How do you actually? What do you tell them when? Because that's the downside is it becomes ungovernable, right? So, what do you do?
Two things. So on technology part, and then on say methodology and educational part. So because it's equally important to have a needed capability to manage the deployment in a way that it's been secured and has is within the needed guardrails and guidelines. But in the meantime, another big question is how to organizationally manage this process outside of technology capability. So from technology capability, we keep developing, and this is a big chunk in our development backlog, everything related to being able to approve applications, move them through the environment safely, making sure that you have the approval cycles between security, IT people, based on the level of complexity and the level of importance of the application, being able to organize a work of fusion teams, enterprise level and user accessibility, and those kind of things. In the meantime, we also understand that there is a big request and demand for methodology, because people understand that right now with the expansion of no-code development, you need to apply a little bit different approach towards kind of aligning business and IT, going and deploying those technologies. And we are working on a big material for that. I probably will not be announcing today, but soon enough we're going to make. You guys have.
Come on, you can tell us.
Okay.
Somebody else is here.
So we have committed, right after the Freedom release, the next big project is a full-blown no-code methodology and thought leadership program around that where we will dedicate a lot of efforts and time into creating the best of breed methodology for no-code that we believe can become an industry standard. And we, on purpose, we are treating this project not as a marketing project or a PR project. We're treating this project as a content, it's a clear thought leadership content creation. So we already have the team assigned. We teamed up with some very prominent technology leaders, and we also will, of course, engage the analyst community. And we want to create a really strong methodological backbone and evolve with that to make sure that people understand that this transformation requires needed organizational changes, and we want to be their guides to help with that. Of course, after that, we will have an engine to distribute that information, but the first step is to produce something similar to CRM at the speed of the light, but to no code that will become the guideline.
So you're gonna write 750 pages on no code methodology?
We won't start 100 pages. We hundreds pages.
kind of breaking up.
Yeah, got a little
Yes,
bit of
sorry,
a
guys.
bandwidth issue going on. That's really good to hear because I always think about. I like to explain the platform and the best practices. A Porsche is a really great car. It can do lots of really good things, cool things. But if you give it to a 16-year-old who has never driven, the only thing that's going to happen is the failure is going to happen faster and be more tragic than if they were driving a Ford, whatever, Pinto, like I
Yeah,
used to have. So it's really good to talk
absolutely.
about the platform and the thought leadership because you need them both in order for companies to be and people to be as successful as they could potentially be instead of just
Absolutely.
turning over the
Absolutely.
platform and hey, you can do lots of good stuff. You guys figure out what and why and how.
Yeah, and this is actually a very usual disconnect, right? When a vendor would focus on technology itself and then we'll build all those capabilities. But we take a look on the most prominent customers we have, and we got inspired with what they've built. We have customers that have hundreds of no-code developers, and they like we have companies that kind of use no-code as a strategy within their organizations. They because in like for example, you take financial services. Financial services is so much in digital now, and if you can deliver those digital capabilities quicker, then you're gaining this incredible competitive edge and competitive advantage. So we look at them, we see what they do. We now already have the needed body of knowledge, and it's time for us to package it up and provide to the market.
All right, we got like a couple of questions here, a couple of good questions. Let's start out with Thomas. What was the platform built using the platform? That would really be cool.
So yes, we actually, we have. If you think about our research and development team, we do have a specific role within our research and development team as a no-code developer. So when we develop a platform and solutions, we have, depending on the level of complexity, we either assign it to a pure no-code or we assign that to a Fusion team. A majority of our teams are Fusion, but we also have a pure no-code development teams. Like for example, Creatio, like we also use our system internally, and all the internal stuff, and we are obsessed with using Creatio internally. Like every single workflow that you can imagine is within Creatio, and we keep adding more and more of that. So
Grubhub orders on Creatio system.
Like you can order a lot. So you can order a new laptop. You can like all the travel management is done from there. Or
Uber Eats, Grubhub, DoorDash.
like, but you can order, like you can send an internal order for sure. Like if you kind of hosting a party, etc. We have it integrated with Facebook and Workplace. So we're using Workplace as an internal communication tool. So it sends you a notification. So everything in Creatio, and all of that has been done by internal team of no-code developers. And actually, even this story got picked up by Forbes recently, and they published an article about that because they got fascinated how we evolved that. But yeah, so that when we developed this, we always had that mindset of kind of drinking our own champagne, and we were trying to immediately incorporate that in the company.
Some would say champagne, and others use other terms. We'll stick with champagne.
Dog, I heard dog food.
Dog food,
All right.
Kool-Aid.
Yeah, Kool-Aid. I actually love my dog, so I don't mind it.
Our play in residence on Tucker,
Mm-hmm.
the golden voice of the industry, we like to call him.
Mm-hmm.
Midas
says-
of MarTech.
He asks, any difference you see between a community of low code builders versus no code?
Look, I still believe there are, like, because industry is defining. Like you guys remember that in that was 2012 or 2013. So we were visiting a CRM evolution event, and there was a big buzz around the term of like CX, and everyone was talking like we will now change CRM to CX, and everyone started to rename their products to customer experience, use, whatever. So it's the same is happening with low code, no code industry.
there like the industry is being defined, and thus there are so many different definitions that are being used, and some people call no code as a low code and vice versa. So that's why I think, but if we kind of define it as a low code, as a market that focuses on professional developers and is making them more productive, and no code is focused on knowledge workers, non-technical people, then there is a difference between those communities, because communities of low coders will be more professional developers who want to expose themselves to low code tools, while no code is a very different type of a person and persona. And by the way, we also keep tracking on the job websites a position of no-code developer or a citizen developer, and we start seeing more and more of those, so that companies are kind of posting jobs for citizen developers and no-code developers, which is excellent news for the industry. But that's probably the cleanest answer I can give for low-code versus no-code builders.
One more he had. Can you share anything more around definitions and examples around no-code standards?
But by standards, you mean standards of implementation? Like I'll try to.
I'm guessing like best practices for
so
implementing it.
In regards to best practices, I would I think that we are partnering with the Project Management Institute and with their practices on citizen development. I think that they have a good approach towards like standards around citizen development. In regards to the product itself, I would consider Creatio as a standard, but I'm biased. In regards to UI and the no-code development framework and this set of capabilities, etc. But of course, there are other vendors as well.
I feel like we have a lot of questions, but Paul, why don't you jump in and we'll see what you get brief later.
This is, the venerable part of me. I was just thinking back to PeopleSoft in the early days, and PeopleSoft used to, what no-code, low-code equivalent was back then? It was developer and author. They would call people authors. So they had, and PeopleSoft was very smart because they had tools for developers and they had tools for authors, right? And the authors were the no-coders, right? The knowledge workers, and they were really, I will tell you, one of the big benefit and charms of PeopleSoft and why people tended to buy them is because non-technical people could actually do things with it. And again, it was a big enterprise set of applications in early days of it too. So to have that kind of capability at that size of a technology stack was astounding. So this is you're effectively the modern iteration of all of this, and the one that's like PeopleSoft would not make it in this world at this moment, but I think what you're doing is absolutely on the money, and honestly, your focus on the knowledge worker side of it is, I think, critical. And by the way, tell that your developer to stay at Creatio and not take the modeling job. Tell him not to take the modeling job, even if it was $2 million.
Yeah, he has been with us for 10 years, right? And he is one of our leaders in the marketing team. So yeah, we rely on him, and he was an instrumental part of putting together the event itself. So
did a great job. The thing that got me was that hair blowing in the wind.
On the mountaintop.
Holy crap, man. It's the modern iteration of, what was that guy's name with that straight Fabio.
Fabio.
So his hair wasn't like that.
No, nothing like that, but it always blew.
And you guys need to sign up for his Instagram. So his Instagram, he has like thousands of people.
I bet.
And every single look gets like amazing amount of likes, and it's like,
hilarious.
Okay, I wanted to kind of, you guys started out hardcore business process management. That's a certain type of audience that you were catering to, but as you've moved forward over the years, and particularly now, when you talk about no code, that's a much broader audience of potential users. How has kind of broadening the focus from those hardcore BPM days to no code and looking to attract the 1.7 billion knowledge workers. How has that changed kind of the approach that you guys have taken to building the platform and engaging with a broader audience?
Well, I think that from the early days, we were always focused on customization, and Paul knows a lot about that because, like, I remember in 2012 we were doing a very extensive product demos, and Paul's question was always like, "It's a lot under the hood, right?" So we were always focused on kind of solving more complex enterprise issues, and then like this transition to low code and no code wasn't that difficult because we thought about our platform as being customizable. We used business process management engine just to connect. The way how we kind of thought about CRM was three pillars: data, access, and action. Like action component was a process, an easy process. Everything that you can do with a workflow, pushing stuff, etc. And then data was like, how do we integrate? How do we collect data? How do we make sense of data? And then access is the UI, is the Freedom UI in our newest generation. And when we were designing our product, and we have absolutely talented R&D team, and we are very honored, and I am very grateful that we have such a great teammates. So they always were thinking about all those three components, because if we would not invest into business process management and customization at early days, it would be difficult to go to enterprise scalability and start serving larger companies. And same approach applies to, say, UI. As Paul mentioned, when we released our 7.1 or whatever that version was, it was not probably the same level of UI we got with Freedom UI, but it was clean, and we did pay a lot of attention to make it easy, clean, engaging, and the ones that people will follow and understand. We designed this "what can I do for a field," where a user can put any command and say, like, I want to create a lead, I want to create a case, and the system will do that process on the under the hood and generate the needed records for them. So from the early days, we were trying to have a clear balance between those three components, and I think that it is a very good decision made by our research and development leaders.
Okay, so I want to leave I'm going to leave, since we're heading toward the end. I want to ask this question, but we need to leave a little bit of time, especially given where you're located, to ask you a question later. Mm-hmm. You guys, I want to take it to the other side of this, which is back to the sort of the flair side. One of the things about you guys, which actually does differentiate you, is you're imaginative, right? And you actually are a very, I mean, your name obviously reflects it pretty well. Really, Creatio is a good name for that. But you allow your imagination some genuine play, where a lot of other companies are very tight and buttoned down about that, and they only allow small little occasional glimpses into something that would be genuinely enjoyable and innovative. The thing is, if you go to your conferences, for example, actually in person, they've always involved like people who are not necessarily technology people, who aren't just giving a speech, but they were sort of involved in the conference, right? And so you had that I think it was in Miami, where you had that person in the morning, and what was her name? Jeter.
Carmelita Jeter.
Carmelita Jeter.
Who, to her credit, I mean, again, what I thought Accelerate was a little bit much, but because
we used it like 7 million times,
right? Like literally 7 out of 10 words.
But with her, it fit.
The word Accelerate. Well, she was, look, for that conference, she was perfect. But I still remember you brought me on stage at that conference, and they asked me what did I want to accelerate, and I knew I would. I basically said I want to accelerate the Yankees' victories and move into first place over the Red Sox. I still remember that. That was in Boston. So
there was an interesting way to.
But the thing is, when you listen to, say, Catherine on the stage, and she has this deep rapport with the audience. She doesn't think so, I don't think, but she does. She really does. It's amazing. It's amazing how engaged she is with an audience. You're always engaged with the audience, nonstop. I mean, people, you know, pretty much everybody I've met at Creatio who has any public face is really well engaged with audiences. That's hard, okay? And that is hard. Most companies do it terribly poorly. You guys do it exceptionally well, and I think, and everything about you is consistent. You know, the interfaces, the concept of no code. You're basically dealing with the human side of people, right? So where does that? I guess the best way to put this is, where does that come philosophically with you guys? I mean, I kind of know the answer, but I think people should hear it.
I think it's a lot about culture, and I don't believe that we were making deliberate effort on making sure that everyone engages. Like we haven't instructed or specifically trained people to do that, but we were hiring people that fit cultural profile, and we surrounded ourselves with people with whom we want to work. And our hiring decisions are they're very sophisticated. Like and it includes both very detailed scoring cards, and for each role we have super detailed scoring cards, but also lots of questions that we ask ourselves to keep honest, to keep accountability and honesty about each and every hiring decision. And then we also invest into culture, and we invest, like for example, this thing with jumping out of plane or the freedom release. It's equally important for our community, but also it's important for our employees, because they want to be part of that. They want to make an event of that size and be part of that, and get all this great recognition and to be on the limelight. It's super, and we were given this opportunity because this event was created by a lot of people, and a lot of them, like you guys presented me as the one who kind of put it together, but it's not. Like I did lead the team in this event, but it was done by dozens of people who, and each of them contributed a lot to the end result. And I'm so grateful that they did that. And I think that they satisfied and fulfilled with the result we've got. So I think that it's a combination of our culture, our focus on genuine care, because we do have a very strong definitions of our values. And this idea of genuine care is not something that is artificial. Like this genuine care is also applies to everything we do. Like if we have an employee that needs support, it's a genuine care. If you have a customer who needs support, it's a genuine care. If we have a friend of ours that whom we know and we need to give them a hand, we will do that. And being part of this culture is something that creates value. And I think that it's coming from the top. It's coming from our CEO, who shows a example, and also part of such culture. Of course, we have other attributes of the culture, like, for example, setting up high standards, focusing on execution, being able to deliver results. But this mix, for example, I have been with the company for 12 years now, and I love every minute of that, because it's kind of a combination of doing stuff, but also enjoying the end result and going through this journey experience. When I sit down and tell my war stories to our new members, and we keep hiring like 5 people a month for all our regional offices, like I enjoy telling those stories, because we created this joint experience, and this experience is precious.
Awesome. I'll just say we're coming at the top of the hour. One of the things I thought was really good about the event was the engagement. Yeah. Like you were on the mountain. I know you recorded it, but I'm just going to say it anyway. You were on the mountain, but you were also in the comments section. You were replying to people, and there was a lot of comments coming in. And it wasn't just hi from Madagascar or wherever, which you see a lot of that across the board in all these things. But these folks were asking some really significant, particular questions. And here you are. I mean, you are a chief creative officer answering these questions. You were fully engaged. Other executives were there as well. And that was as interesting to me was the design aspects and the mountaintop and the DJ and all that, you guys were ready for the engagement piece, where a lot of times, a lot of these folks, they do really good events in certain ways, but they come up lacking when it comes to the real time engagement, because that's really an opportunity. If you're going to have all these thousands, potentially thousands of people on these things, don't you want to engage them and not just kind of push stuff at them? And it seems like you guys had that as part of this mix of the design, just like all the other pieces.
Absolutely, and we like I have right now when you mentioned that, and I do remember actually your comment, and we got it like and our head of events and communications, Kate, who is the main kind of mastermind behind this event.
She's great.
She's great, and she just captured that comment and sent to us, to the kind of our internal group, saying, "Oh, Brent Leary has commented. Let's reply." So, and that's why like we wanted to see your comment and we wanted to get your impressions. But that was again a natural behavior. Like I wouldn't sit on my chair and watch it if I know that our customers and partners can, and I can contribute. And I think that everyone within the chat, like we had Alex Danchuk, our head of channels, replying to partner questions. Our head of R&D was replying to like, and all the team, like we had 80 people, I guess, like trying to provide those comments, because we want people to be to feel like it's for them. We did it. Like we had a partner, for example, Paul knows his partner, iSystem Asia in Indonesia, in Jakarta. They had like 40 people in a cinema watching this this movie. And of course, like we have done it for them. Like we want them to be excited about this, because this event is not about us. It's about them. We want them to get out of this event and say, "Oh my God, I love this company. I love those people. I want the entire Indonesian market to be covered by Creatio deployments." It's not just about the business, but the level of interaction we've got. And we've got the same partner in Israel. Like they had like the entire team watching for that. Our customer, actually, one of our customers is Israeli government, and they use us for like 5,000 of users across multiple kind of Israeli divisions. And they were texting me, showing me pictures of Israeli government officials watching to the Freedom release. That was that was fulfilling. So we had the same in the US. We had we had one of our large customers from Texas also had like dozens of people watching. And the fact that we were able to get this engagement was the end game, right? So probably we could do a worse event and get the same engagement and would be still happy, because it's about the engagement, not about sometimes the quality of the picture. Or for some reason my yellow shoes and yellow socks got so much attention. And then next time I do I do the session, I will certainly wear it.
I like the jacket. That was the thing that caught my attention. But
jacket. I can tell. Like jacket was. I bought it. Like I was in a very tight schedule. The day I bought the jacket, literally like 30 minutes before jumping into a car, and it was a lady in Bloomingdale's who was helping me, and she said, like after I bought this jacket, she went like, "You are a power buyer." That's what she said.
Nice. Okay. Yeah. Hey, this has been really great. I totally enjoy trying to get in the backstory to the platform in the event. By the way, I don't know if you can share this or not. The event platform, was that you guys too, or were you using a third party?
It's us. So we build this.
Wow.
We ask our team to build this framework. So it uses Twitch and it has a broadcast to multiple platforms. But the framework itself is built by our digital team, who has done incredible. Because we also wanted to control this part. The same, you want to kind of manage your on-site event. We understood that you want to be 100% sure that the experience is exactly the one that we want to deliver.
Really smart.
Makes total sense to me.
Yeah, me too.
And I'm glad I asked that, because it was just so well done. And you guys did that. And is that part of the Freedom platform, or is that a something that's completely separate, or
It's
what? How
a-
does that
it-
work?
It's a separate, unfortunately not. So
Okay.
and like someone actually brought to me idea. Let's start selling it, and I went, no, we're not. We have the best product to sell, so we're not selling that.
All right.
All right.
Cool. Well, there's only one thing to ask, and I'm kind of afraid, given
Yeah,
where
me
you
too.
live,
Mhm.
and we've had such a great conversation. I would hate for this to be the last one we have, but I got to ask this question.
But it depends
So-
on your answer.
Okay.
Yeah. Um,
I can anticipate the question. Yeah.
do you have a favorite NFL team?
Yes, I do have this team, and probably you don't like my answer. You will not like my answer.
It's been nice knowing you, Andy.
That's right. I'm sorry. I have to cut all ties to Creatio after 10 years.
Because I so respect you guys, I will not name it. But I also can say that I love underdogs as well. Like I have every time when I was picking up a team, I never went for the biggest and the loudest. Except this is just like, I was relocating from Europe to the US, and I landed in Boston, so that was an easy pick. I didn't have like much options, and I relocated in 2015, and that's where they were playing Seattle, and then they had this incredible moment. So I kind of that was my third day in the US when I moved from Europe to the US. So kind of that made the game. But I in my in the way how I think about like sports teams, I always want to select an underdog and watch them grow, and because it's just more pleasant experience. Because every time when a big dog loses, then you are not happy because you kind of expect them to win. But it's so delightful to see teams that are kind of showing grit and showing like they're playing against the odds and getting there. For example, even though Patriots played Eagles, right, from Philadelphia. They played them in forgot the year, but they lost, right? I was not
2017, I believe.
Yeah, it was 17. And I like the idea that the underdog got their place in the sun, and they deserved it. And even though Boston was in a very bad mood, I didn't feel that bad because I felt like they deserved it. Anyway,
Right.
You probably know, guys.
Why don't we just leave it there?
Yeah.
You know what, Brent, Andy, this is a first, but Brent, we'll have to bring it to the committee as far as whether to discuss it with them.
Well,
we'll
on
convene a meeting.
On the positive side, he was happy to see the Eagles beat the Patriots.
I'm a Giants fan, so how much do you think that
Yeah.
carries with me? Right?
I mean,
nothing.
I
Right.
don't like the
You
Eagles
can't
either,
win
but
on that one. Your better bet would have been to name a Super Bowl that the Patriots lost that did not involve the NFC East.
Okay.
Right? That would have worked better. Let's
Okay.
just say.
Yeah. You can. I'm not that into it, so I actually.
Right.
I usually watch.
All right. But we'll bring this to the committee. We'll come back with it's about a month for them to render a decision. And they
I'll give you one quick way to give yourself a much better shot.
Okay.
Who are you rooting for in this year's Super Bowl?
Oh boy.
Yeah, to be honest with you, like I was not following it. I don't have much time. We're working crazy hours, and then I don't have family. We moved to a new house, so there are a lot of stuff going on. So I just missed it.
We get it.
Yeah,
we understand. We're just having fun. You'll be back.
Yeah.
So,
No.
Unless the committee renders otherwise.
All right. But in all seriousness, really enjoyed having you on.
It was
great
great.
conversation.
Absolutely
And-
fantastic. You got a lot. You got some. Take a look at the LinkedIn comments because you actually have some interest. Thomas Weavernet would like a demo, right? And
Right.
he's another analyst that you want to talk to. Anand Thakur is really interested in. You'll see in the comments there's a number of people interested.
There's
in
a lot of
talking to you.
comments.
excellent. Guys, thank you so much for inviting. I sincerely enjoy. I loved your format because like I from time to time join and listen when I'm on a meeting. So thank you so much for having me. Really enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Thank you. And on
thanks for
behalf-
being here, man.
Yep.
Yeah.
On behalf of Andy, I'm Brent Leary.
I'm Paul Greenberg.
There's many. We'll see you next week. Well, hopefully I'll see you next week. It all depends on the
Right.
weekend.
We may
So,
be
yeah.
making some announcements.